Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 7 of the Stage Racing Podcast. Today, we're talking all things Las Vegas, and we're going to look ahead to next week's race at Homestead, as well as talk about people who've impressed and people who've disappointed 5 races in. So, you all stay tuned. All right, Cody. Guess what, man? For you and I, not only NASCAR fans, we're college basketball fans. It's Christmas week, man. It's Christmas week. I'm going to put you on the spot. I know your UVA Cavaliers had a down year. A lot of things going on with that. We won't get into all that, but who do you like to cut down the nets? I'm just completely putting you on the spot.
Yep, I like Florida.
I'll let you do 2 or 3 if you want to.
I like Florida. That's where my mind kind of has been leading to. Kind of hoping that Cooper Flagg comes back healthy. Would like to see Duke in the Final Four represent the ACC. But I'm just going to go full-fledged and go Florida here.
Well, I'm biased. I'm a Duke basketball fan, so I do think Duke's good. You talk about Cooper Flagg. Shire gave the thumbs up for him today. Says he expects him full speed ahead for this week. But, yeah, I like Duke. Or I like whoever wins between Florida and St. John's. I think old Slick Rick's got a little something for the field this year. It's crazy to think he's probably like the most tenured and successful coach in it right now. That's wild for people like you and me who are in our 30s, who've been watching college basketball our whole life, to think Rick Pitino was the last man standing when you look at the Hall of Fame coaches out there. So.
And what was it? Izzo.
Yeah, Izzo, but Slick Rick's better than Izzo. I might take some random people from this, but yeah. I really hope Pitino wears the white suit every single game for the tournament. He's got to do it, man.
Yes.
So, all right, we're done talking basketball for people who are like, I want to listen to NASCAR stuff. We're done. Maybe one day we'll start a general sports podcast, but all right, going to keep the tradition going this week, man. I hadn't even shown you the hero card. This week, we have 2005 Brian Vickers. Initial reaction, Cody.
Oh, man, I was a big Brian Vickers fan when he was in the Busch Series, so I was always really excited for him when he came up to Cup, and it didn't really pan out for the fellas, so, but I love the card.
I don't remember him driving this. I always associate Brian Vickers with Red Bull when he was driving for Red Bull. And speaking of Red Bull, the Red Bull curse continues to live on. As you and I texted about Sundays, poor Shane Van Gisbergen had a rough go of it this weekend, for sure. But anyways, yeah, good old Brian Vickers card. Again, this is from 2005. It actually looks like this was like a Hendrick expansion type thing that he was driving for back then.
So Hendrick used to own the 25.
Okay. But I'm reading the card and it makes it seem like they had like 5 or 6 teams at the time.
So they did have, because back before then, they could have the teams. So they did have like a 5th team.
Okay.
Because you had Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson.
So they had the
Kyle Busch,
the 5, the 25, and the 44.
The 44 wasn't the permanent. It was the 20. It was because I don't know if you remember.
So remember the 24 and the 48. Of course, you had Kyle Busch in the 5.
And that was probably. I wonder if that was Mark Martin at that time.
It could have been. It could. I'm trying to remember when Busch went to JGR.
But the 25 was always that 4th team because I'm pretty sure if I remember right, that was why I don't know why I want to say Jerry Nadeau that was driving that 25 for like early in the 2000s, but I have to go back and fact check.
It's crazy when you sit and think about like the drivers that Hendrick has now, and then you look at it, and you're like, man, this dude really lived off Jeff Gordon for a long time, and Terry Labonte. I mean, Terry was legit too, but like after
Terry might have been in the 5 and 05 still. I don't know.
After Terry retired, it's like Rick pretty much lived off Jeff until
Jimmy
7-time came along, but
yep. Jeff's part to blame for that too.
Yeah. So, all right, man. Well, let's talk Vegas. First things first. Outside the track, Denny Hamlin really seems to like Las Vegas, and it's not for the racing side of things. So, in case you missed it, last year in the spring race, Denny Hamlin entered a poker tournament in Vegas and won the whole thing and won over $100,000. This year, the man goes out to Vegas, strikes gold on a slot machine for like $100 and some odd thousand. Of course, he's betting $500-$600 a hand and already had a few $1,000, like $50,000, like salary for regular people, you and me, in his credit, but he hits for 100 and some $1,000, and then that was on Friday night. On Saturday night, the man hits again for $82,000.
Mm-hmm.
He might not win a championship, folks, but I'm following him to the casino. If I'm anybody else, I'm going to give him a few hundred and say, hey, play the machine for me. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, I definitely want to play on the slot machine that guy's playing on. So
I just look at him, like, look around the room, Denny. I know you probably play high stakes, but which one for regular Joes like you and I should we play? He might point us in the right direction.
he might. My thing is why isn't he gambling on himself to win a championship?
Because it's illegal, Cody. That's why. It's illegal.
I mean,
but let's be honest. Do you really think these guys don't have someone betting for them? Like, come on, man.
I was gonna say let's do the Shohei Ohtani treatment here. Get the
just blame it on the translator.
Yeah, it's fine.
Denny can just blame it on one of his daughters or his unborn child at this point.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Well, the truck race, I'm going to be honest here, folks. I fished in a tournament Saturday morning, so the truck race got pushed back a little bit for rain. I did not watch a single lap of the truck race. Did you catch any of it at all, Cody?
I wasn't able to.
Yeah.
I was pretty booked Saturday with some family things, so I was unable to catch that this weekend.
Yeah, Friday did not happen for the trucks. So Corey Hyman ended up winning. The Xfinity race, I got to watch just a little bit, but like you said, I was doing the family thing after the fishing tournament I fished in. I did watch enough to see, of course, Justin Allgaier wins. Congrats to him, finally get that little monkey off his back for this year. But the one thing I did want to make a note of is Connor Zilic had a really good run on an oval. I'm telling you, man, I know they used to call Joey sliced bread, but O'Connor might be the new sliced bread.
Yeah, I went back and watched the highlights of the Xfinity race to get more of a bigger picture, and he was just consistent all day, and he just looked really good, and I wonder, the talk at the beginning of the year with Junior Motorsports eventually at some point wanting to get a charter. I'm not wondering if they're not going to hook the coattails to that fella right there.
I mean, they could. I think it's between one of the two guys we just talked about. It's either Allgaier or Zilic. Knowing Dale, he's pretty loyal. I could see him going with Justin.
Mm-hmm.
But if he goes to a second one, I mean, it's going to be Connor's going to go to the highest bidder, if we're being honest.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't get scooped up by another series before that, because the kid's got some talent.
Mm-hmm.
All right, man, let's talk Cup. We're going to get into Cup in Stage 1 here, folks. It's a little different than what we've normally done, but let's talk the Cup race. I think this race, and I'm going to pull my phone out because I bookmarked a tweet I want to get into. When I think of this race, I'm thinking of a few things, and the first one is errors, and more errors.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of pit stop, speeding down pit road, a lot of, just errors on pit road with tire changes, loose lug nuts, wheels flying off. I mean, you name it, there was an error for it.
Yep. I'll read it off. Are you ready?
Go for it.
So far, and this is, I don't know when this was tweeted, but probably about a little more than halfway through the race. So far, the errors that I saw on Twitter here was Blaney had a 30-second green flag pit stop. Bowman had a green flag stop because he said he had a vibration. Elliott was speeding while he was in the lead. Hamlin was speeding while he had good track position. Cindric pitted twice because he thought he had a loose wheel. Briscoe's wheel completely came off, and Kyle Busch's wheel came off. And here he is. That was on lap 115. All that had happened by 115. That's wild.
My question is, was everybody up just too late gambling the night before?
And they may have been. Been. Thanks a lot, Denny. So, I think the other story for this, it was just like cautions at all the wrong times. It just seemed. I mean, it was catching 2311 on pit road at weird times. It was catching Blaney kind of got caught up too on top of all that. I mean, so many good cars just seemed to be on pit road when a caution happened. It was just a weird race. I mean, one of our friends was texting and was like, what's going on? I'm like, it's funky. I don't really know how to describe it. It's been funky so far.
All day.
Yep.
All day. I mean, if you didn't tune into that race and you really didn't know what was going on, and you tune in just randomly like one of our friends did, and you look at the leaderboard and you're like, how'd this happen?
Yeah.
So, it's just one of those things where it was just, just bad timing for a lot of the heavy hitters and a lot of the favorites, and just turned out to be what it was.
Yeah, for sure. It was weird. The other thing that I did like, and I don't know if you noticed when you were watching, how dirty these cars were getting from rubber. And that can only mean one thing. We had good tire wear once again. Kudos Goodyear. You've brought it a few weeks in a row here.
Yep. I'll echo the same sentiment.
Yeah. Well, speaking of tires, these next two guys had a rough day with tires, specifically Shane Van Gisbergen. And I don't know what they had going on, but they had something in their car that just was absolutely cutting tires left and right. I think the dude spun out at least 2 times that I can remember. It may even been more. Kyle Busch had a wheel come completely off, and then Ryan Blaney just had a rough day. Not necessarily tire related, but he just had a rough day. So rough day for those 3 guys. And 2 of those 3, in Busch and Blaney, has some speed.
Yeah, I mean, Busch was up there early, was actually running really well up until that point. Then, of course, he got into the wall, and they took it back to the garage, and I don't even remember if he ever came back out to finish the race.
Yeah, I think he
Blaney
did. He was just so many laps down. It was unreal.
And poor Blaney, that man just can't catch a break any week.
Yeah, he's. I'm going to bring that up a little bit later as we move through this, but yeah, just a weird year for him. But I think the biggest storyline, let's just get to it, was the winner of this race. Shout out to the guy, Josh Berry, bringing the 21 back to victory lane. Of course, it really hadn't been that long since the 21 was in victory lane. Remember, Harrison Burton won the Daytona Fall race last year, but this just seemed different. When was the last time you can remember, probably since Ryan Blaney was in the 21, that the Wood Brothers won a race that wasn't a super speedway?
Yeah. No, I mean, because even if you go back to Matt Diamondetto, it was, I think he was a super speedway too. So, definitely Ryan Blaney. Just shout out to Josh Berry. We've been on him all year and been hyping him up. I mean, he ran a good, clean race. Was just in the right place at the right time when the flags dropped. Had speed too.
He's
I mean,
had
down
speed
there
all year, man.
He has. And at the end, he just ran away with it. I mean, nobody had anything for him at the end.
He did. And for folks who don't know, the Wood Brothers Racing, they're still an organization, but this is basically a third Penske car, if we're being honest. I guess a fourth Penske car. Yeah, a fourth Penske car, because the alliance that they have is extremely close. But I feel like just something's different. Now, I don't know if it's the way that they've aligned these teams, something in the agreements have changed, but something seems different with Wood Brothers this year outside of Josh Berry, although I think Josh Berry has a lot to do with it. But I'll beg the question of you now, Cody. We've seen the speed that Berry has. He's had to win here. I'm going to go extreme. I'm going to go completely extreme right now. Is he a Final Four contender?
I mean, he's been one of the more consistent guys through the first couple of races. And even when he's had bad luck, he's shown speed, back to your point a minute ago. So, I mean, I don't know about Final Four, but definitely, round of 8. Yeah, I can definitely see that. Like I said, he's driving good.
I'm going to pull the points up right here. I mean, he obviously has a win, but he's sitting 13th in points with a win, which is pretty good for the 21. I mean, when was the last time you can remember them sniffing the top 15 at points?
I don't know. Let me ask you this question. Do you think it has a lot to do with, Josh Berry's 34? Do you think it has a lot to do with that as well? Because typically, when they've had these drivers come in to the Wood Brothers. Mm-hmm. So I asked you that question.
Yeah, I'll follow with this. The next point I had is maybe the Wood Brothers aren't actually a bad team, and I think so. I think this is something's changed. That maybe they're not putting it out there. Maybe they've kind of somehow or another some more funding's going into the team. But I'm with you. I think that experience, Barry's, is about as experienced as you can get for a team like that. Combine the two, yeah, I think you got a force to be reckoned with in the 21 this year. I don't think this is his one and only victory this year. If he wins another one, I won't be shocked. If he doesn't win, I won't necessarily be shocked, but I might be a little surprised because they've looked solid so far this year. And we hadn't even gotten to a true short track yet, which is what he's known for.
That's his bread and butter.
Exactly. And, it's going to be one to watch here in Martinsville in a couple weeks. For sure. Anything else you want to add about the Cup race this weekend, man? I mean, I was just stoked to see the Wood Brothers back in victory lane. It's been too long. Even though
Yeah,
they won last fall, it's just for a track like
it
this, it's
wasn't the
been
same.
right.
It wasn't the same. I mean, kudos to Harrison Bird. Don't get me wrong, but I just think this was different. And it felt different. I think
Mm-hmm.
that was the difference. But yeah, no, I mean, everything about the race was really good. Chase Elliott with another top 10 finish. Just wanted,
After the pit road issue.
yep. So
Yep.
once again, another issue for him early in a race. He comes back, finishes top 10. So just continue to look out for him in the championship. I think we all know that, of course, coming into the season. But he's going to get a win here soon, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it next week or maybe in Martinsville.
Yeah, I agree. So let's move on to stage 2 here. We're 5 races into the season. Who's impressed you so far? You want me to go first? I asked you to make a list. Did you make a list?
I did. Go
Okay,
ahead.
I'll go first. I think the one we might both agree on, Josh Berry. He's definitely been impressive. Christopher Bell, you can't not have him on here after what he did to start the year. The guy you were just talking about, Chase Elliott, last year wasn't necessarily his year. He looked better after all the issues, but I think he's starting to look really good. He's just got to cut out the mistakes. Once he cuts out the mistakes, I think Chase is up there as a contender again. Chase's teammate, Alex Bowman, has been. Are we word for word right now so far?
It's close. It's close.
Is you and I hate on Bowman all the time, but
He's top 5 in points.
he's
I think
backed
he's.
it
I
up
think
this
he's.
year. Yeah,
I think he's 4th in points.
fifth. He's fifth.
Well, but Reddick and Elliott are tied for 4th or 3rd. So
Yeah, you're right. So,
so
I guess
he's
if you look at the golf way to do it, he's fifth. But yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I mean, he's had a legitimate, pretty good season so far.
Yeah.
And one where everyone was saying he needs to step up, he's finally started doing it. I will say Denny kind of defended him last year because he had the back fracture, and Denny's been the same thing. Denny's like, you guys don't understand what it's like. So it's good to see he's definitely healthy, feeling much better, and running well. Here's my next one. This one's a little weird.
Oh, don't! You're gonna say the same one I'm thinking. I already know it.
Kyle Busch.
Yes.
Get out.
Oh, I knew it. I knew it.
So much bad luck. I mean, honestly, it's terrible luck. But
He's been up
they
front every
have
race.
speed, and that's what they didn't have last year. Now, if Kyle can get whoever set the voodoo curse on him to stop it, it might be all right. But yeah. So are those your 5 exactly? Did we really just name off the exact same 5?
So I had Barry, I had Bell, of course. That's a given. I had Kyle Busch, I had Alex Bowman, and I had the other one was not Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott, I felt like was one of my favorites coming into the season anyway because he was really he was one of probably the most consistent driver last year. The other one is Chris Buescher.
Yeah.
I know he was my dark horse. But if you go look, I think he's 9th in points.
He is. He's like quietly.
It's so quiet.
Yeah.
So quiet. When I looked at that earlier today, I was like, really? So, when you asked me who were my top 5, I was like, I've got to throw him in that 5th spot. So yeah, for me, it would definitely be, Barry 1, Christopher Bell 2, 3 wins in a row.
Yeah.
And then probably Bush 3, and then so on. So.
Yeah, I obviously agree. We hit 4 out of the same 5. That's hilarious. Anyways, moving on. Who's disappointed you the most? I'll let you go first this time.
Oh, first off, it's not to any really fault of his. Ryan Blaney has been a huge disappointment.
That's one.
Yeah. Number 2, and not really a disappointment, but he's ran okay. Bubba Wallace has really been a disappointment for me. Just from the sense of I really expected a little bit more consistency, and I don't know if that's more to do with some of his
this week he was running so good. He got just caught in that weird fuel mileage, with that weird caution that kind of screwed him over this week.
So once again, I don't necessarily know that it's a whole lot of fault of his. It's not a detriment on Bubba. I think it's just bad timing. And then my third one, this is it's got to be Brad Keselowski.
We just hit 2 out of 3.
But once again, Brad's he ran good. I think he finished in the top 10, top 11 this past week in Vegas.
I did
Um,
look that up.
I want to say he finished 11th. I for some reason that's just in my mind.
Keep going.
But
I'll look it up.
he's had bad luck.
Yeah, it
I
was
mean,
11. It was 11.
okay, so um, this is his best finish of the season, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, he's just been in the wrong place, wrong time.
It's
I mean,
just
I feel like every time there's been an accident in front of him, he
he's
has
hit it.
not gotten through
It's
every time.
awful. Like honestly, and yeah, yeah, I'm with you. I think I have one different than your other two. So the one I have is Todd Gilliland. People are like, "How's that disappointing?" Like but he was running really good at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
season last year, and there's been times this year that he's ran really good. But then
Mm-hmm.
it's just like the end of the race comes along, and he's just not there like he was last year. Um, I was kind of expecting him to flirt with the playoffs this year, to be completely honest, just the way he was, and it's just not happening. It's just not happening right now.
It's not clicking.
So yeah, Blaney for the same reasons you described, Gilliland, as I just said, and then Keselowski. Poor Brad, poor Brad. And here's what I'll say about Brad: Brad can still drive, but every driver when they get to their end of their career seems to follow the same kind of thing.
Pattern.
Yeah, it's the same kind of pattern, and yeah, I hope he can catch a break because I do think we're on the back end of Brad's career. We're on the back end of a lot of these guys' careers, for being honest. But yeah, the thing Brad has going for him though is he owns the team he drives for, so he can literally decide when he wants to finish up. So
Yep.
he's got that for sure.
I think he still manages to get a win and get in the playoffs this year. He's managed to run good at a couple of races. It's just
Horrible.
once again bad. Yeah, so
Horrible.
I think he's going to figure it out. I think if Busher continues to run consistent, I think it just continues to show that team. And look at Priest. I mean, Ryan Priest finished third yesterday.
Had a great race. Yep.
So, and he's run really good in some races.
He's
So
just had
I
bad
think
luck some too.
100%.
Yep.
Yeah, well, shoo.
Yep.
But I think so. The equipment's there. Busher and Priest are showing that the equipment's there. It's just Brad's got to get out. Find a way to get through those accidents.
Yep. All right. Well, if you're a diehard NASCAR fan, you're like, how the heck did neither one of y'all list Ty Gibbs? And there's a reason for that. We have him in our next one. Who needs to panic? And that is Ty Gibbs. What? I don't even know what to say. I mean, it's just. I mean, the dude can't even catch a break when he's racing sprint cars. I don't know if you saw that. Here's my question, Cody. I mean, Ty Gibbs, obviously grandson of owner of his team, Joe Gibbs. Ty's different though, and Ty showed talent. What happened? Where did it go wrong?
He had a lot of close calls at the end of last year, like chance to win races.
Yeah.
Especially at some of the road courses. And I don't know if it's a mental thing, which is where I'm kind of leaning towards. He came close and he had some bad finishes, and we've both known this. We all know this. He's a really aggressive driver, and he takes opportunities and chances. And I just don't know if he's able to kind of limp that along and kind of work his way through these whole races right now. I think it's a mental thing for him, and I don't know if he's just being too aggressive. I'm not real sure.
To me, it kind of all started when he wrecked his teammate at Martinsville in the second to last race of the Xfinities, when he won the Xfinity Championship. And he's been downhill from there, man. I mean, poor guy loses his father the next week. And still to this day don't know what happened. Everybody's tight-lipped about it. I'm sure you could pick whatever rumor you want for the fact that they haven't said anything on it. But it just, I mean, we talked about our first episode of the season. I was like, I'm expecting Ty Gibbs to step up this year. And here he is, Cody. He's got an average finish of 25th place so far this year. Man, oh my gosh. Like, this the same thing I'm looking at. It's like, everyone had him pegged as one of the best prospects a couple years ago. It's year 3, and he's nowhere right now. He's nowhere near winning his first Cup race. Like,
No.
If Ty Gibbs turn around and win next week, hell's frozen over at this point. Like, honestly, I'll say that, and he'll win, and we'll get on here and talk about it. But I mean, and here's another one, and I haven't researched this for sure. I'm gonna trust at Start and Park Car on X. It says Ty Gibbs is only 3 races away from becoming the longest tenured JGR Cup driver without a win. JJ Yeley had 78 starts and no wins. Gibbs is currently at 76 starts with no wins.
That's not a good name to be associated with.
Especially when your granddad owns the company.
Yeah, but I mean, look at Austin Dillon. I'm sorry. Yeah,
Yeah, but to me, that's apples and oranges. I mean, yeah, Austin Dillon won an Xfinity championship, but would you have thought, like, were your expectations for AD coming in like they were for Ty Gibbs? Well, for me,
no, but you know, I mean, at least Austin Dillon's won a cup race, but
he has. He's backed into a few, or backed into someone for him, but he's
I'm
got
trying
there.
to run people over. But
Yeah, maybe not quite time to panic for Ty Gibbs, but if he doesn't do something in the next 3 weeks, ring the alarm. Like,
I think you're going to start hearing the conversation come summertime. If he doesn't have a win, summertime is going to be really tough. And I think going into the next season, I mean, we all know Joe Gibbs. I mean, old ball coach. He ain't going to have no problem. Even if it's his grandson, he ain't going to have no problem pulling him out that car.
he wants to win. That's all he knows. And especially when you've
Yeah.
got a guy like Christopher Bell who's obviously at the highest of highs right now. I still think Denny's going to win a race this year, if not multiple. It's a transition period right now with Chase Briscoe. Gibbs got to step up. I mean, it's year 3, man. And really, you could say it's year 3.5 for him because he filled in for Kurt Busch. Mm-hmm. So it's not like these cars are new to him. Heck, he's been in them basically since the beginning. And I'm not completely ringing the alarm yet, but I can hear it in the distance. All right, we'll head into the final stage here. Hopefully the recording didn't seem too funky. We got booted. We made it 7 episodes, Cody, before we had technical difficulties. I consider that a win. I mean, we were just bragging the other day how we've done no cuts, nothing, just went straight through. But it catches up eventually. So let's move to the final stage for this week. Homestead this weekend. I don't know about you, man. It stinks because we're going to have some good college basketball games going on this weekend, but Homestead is one of my favorite tracks right now on the circuit.
Yeah. It's going to be hard to turn away from some March Madness, absolutely. So I'm definitely going to have the iPad and the multi-screen up on Sunday. But no, man, Homestead has always been a pretty good track in my opinion. So, I mean, it's one of those really good mile and a halves. It's got some really good speed. To me, it reminds me a lot of Michigan in a sense. Not quite that fast, but so super excited. Hoping we're going to get some tire wear here, and hopefully Goodyear continues to bring those good tires. So we continue to get some really good
this
races.
was just flat delivered in the next gen. I mean, it's been good. I never thought Homestead was bad. I still wish it had the championship race, but what to expect this weekend? I'm with you. Some really good racing, a lot of comers and goers, some tire fall off, and who's riding the bottom, who's riding the wall. Those are the things I'm looking for. And also, we'll probably be recording this one this weekend, so I can kind of like half watch while I watch basketball, and then turn back over Monday during the day and catch up. But so let's just get right to it. Who do you like this weekend, Cody?
I'm gonna say that I think he's had a lot of bad luck. I like Blaney again this week. I like Byron. And there's somebody else that hadn't had a win yet still, Kyle Larson.
Yeah, solid picks. Honestly, solid picks. I'm with you. Blaney, can he turn it around? See, you talk about Blaney, and this kind of reminded me of Logano last year. Like, just a lot of bad things going wrong, but that's just Penske. Like, they kind of suck at the beginning of the year, and the next thing you know, they're winning a championship. Blaney's a good one. I think don't discount Bell. Christopher Bell could win his 4th race in 5 tries. Tyler Reddick, this is the track that kind of put Reddick on the scene when he was with RCR. Denny has constantly run good here at Homestead too. I'm basically just giving you my lineup right now. I don't know. We'll see. Qualifying and practice laps always make a difference, but
never know.
Yeah, and then of course Kyle Larson hasn't. I mean, he ran pretty good at times at Vegas this past week. I was expecting a little bit more out of him, but yeah. You haven't quite seen the Larson that we're used to just yet. So it'll be interesting to see that this weekend for sure. So before we finish this thing up, one more thing I want to talk about. From out of nowhere, Carl Edwards is joining the Prime team as a studio analyst. if you are a NASCAR fan, you probably sit around from time to time just like, whatever happened to Carl? He just retired and disappeared. Well, he's starting to inch his way back into things. So, man, I don't know about you. Prime's putting together an A+ team right now.
Yep. And side note, if anybody out there hasn't given the Dale Jr. download,
I haven't. I need to go back and listen
Carl
to
Edwards. I recommend that listen to any, not even NASCAR fan, just any fan in general that wants to hear a professional athlete talk about, mental health and priorities and taking, control of their life back. I urge anyone, like I said, sports fan or not, to listen to that podcast. It was fantastic. So, shout out to Carl Edwards and shout out to Dale Jr. for just always putting out a really good product at Dirty Mo Media. So, but yeah, no, I mean, back to, dude, this Amazon broadcast, like, I know they're only going to get 6 races, but dude, I'm going to tell you what.
Although NBC is hard to beat right now. So.
NBC is hard to beat, but I think Dale Jr. is going to bring a lot of things over from NBC. I'm pretty sure Steve Letart's with him too. So these guys are going to be bringing a lot from over there too. Amazon's going to throw money at whatever. And honestly, I'm going to go out on a limb, and if it's really good, which I expect it to be, especially with Carl Edwards now too, I would expect Amazon to start bidding for some more.
Yep, for sure.
Some more races.
And you're starting to see sports like this, or even though the other one I'm about to compare it to isn't necessarily a sport, but you're starting to see organizations like this take the leap into streaming a little bit more. They look at WWE going over to Netflix this past year and how big that's been for them. It's kind of rejuvenated. I swear I'm seeing more and more, and I know you and some of our other friends really get into it. I haven't, but I'm starting to see more and more WWE stuff that I've seen since I was like in middle school, dude. Like, it's crazy. So maybe that revives it. I'll be honest with you, I don't know. I really think the trend of wearing the old NASCAR driver jackets is starting to come back. I'm starting to see them a little bit more and more. I'm like, man, if someone busts out an old Kyle Busch M&M's jacket, we're straight back in the early 2000s, man. I'm like, put on some Ludacris and Nelly, we're back, man. That's just... But, yeah, no, I'm interested. I'm very interested to see how Prime does with this. Should be good. I mean, I thought everything they did with NFL has been solid so far. And so, yeah, I don't expect anything less, for sure. So, all right, Cody. Well, I'm going to make one more announcement here if you're watching this and you haven't bought your tickets for the Martinsville race coming up. We got 2 weeks. 2 weeks, Cody. 2 weeks. And I say that to you because I haven't bought our tickets yet, but I'm about to. Get the tickets, man. There's a lot of seats available at Martinsville. And I know the track hasn't been as good as it once was, but I'm telling you, I really think hearing the drivers talk about stuff, I think we're going to get a banger in a couple weeks. We know the trucks are going to deliver Friday night. We know Xfinity's going to deliver on Saturday. That's the one ticket we know we've already got locked in. And then Cup should, yeah, appreciate it. Cup should be good on Sunday as well. Now, a little bit of a heads up, prices have increased just a tad, or roughly around $13 from where they were last year for trucks and Xfinity.
Thanks.
Yeah, our
Thanks,
say it's
Ticketmaster.
Ticketmaster, but we both know it's Ticketmaster. The product usually backs it up. So if you ain't got your Martinsville tickets, obviously we're biased. I still live here. You grew up here. You're less than an hour and a half from here, so it's your closest track to get to. Hey, come out, show up. It's Martinsville. It's the oldest track on the circuit. The hot dogs are great. The atmosphere is great. Hopefully the weather's going to cooperate. The early look out for the forecast is like 70s and sunny right now. Hopefully it stays that way. But if you've lived here long enough, at some point we'll probably see that little precipitation. Hopefully it's just not on Sunday. But anyways, that's my pitch for Martinsville. I'm not getting paid saying that. I wish I was. Make it better. But get your Martinsville tickets, man. For real. I really think that race is going to be good.
Yeah. There's plenty of other opportunities on the website for discounts. 15% for first responders, teachers, healthcare workers.
Hey, if you're a state
military,
employee for the state of Virginia, there's a great discount. Reach out for that one.
So reach out to the track. Go online. I know we're not. Like Adam said, we're not getting paid to plug Martinsville Speedway here, but there's nothing more we love to see than our hometown track packed out for a NASCAR race and support a sport we love. So. Show up, show out, be loud.
Hopefully we get a good one. Exactly right.
Drink some beer, eat some hot dogs.
So. All right, Cody, appreciate it, man. Hopefully these technical difficulties don't mess anything up, and appreciate everybody tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next one.